really hard. For a lot of kids are super successful through AAU and high school programs, and then they get to college, and it's just another step up, and it's kind of like the rite of passage, and it's got to deal with some adversity, and I think some kids maybe have never dealt with that. It's always different. Each kid that wants to leave is a different story, but I do think we've gotten away from the good old days where you just kind of dig in and take your knocks and grow and develop as a player. I think of Kyle Kuzma, who we had in our program, really difficult, didn't even play as a freshman, hardly played as a sophomore, started killing people as a junior and got his degree and left. And it was, a trajectory that's not normal, but you got to trust the process. And I think nowadays it's kind of like, I got to take my talents to some other beach and go try it somewhere else. And it's definitely made it challenging.
Coach, one of those guys that Kuz killed was us. I can remember we took that plane ride with you to Puerto Rico. That was one of our favorite trips. The coach was such a good guy. He drove his plane to Lubbock, Texas, picked us up, and took us all to Puerto Rico. And it actually was a good experience for both teams. It was a fun time. Hey, talking about freshmen,
it sure was.
Is your Ryland Jones, is he going to be back?
Not sure. It's kind of a touch-and-go deal. He's as tough as nails. So we don't want to put him in harm's way, and done a great job for us. He's a super poised kid and just has a steadying influence on the game and certainly our team. So we're hopeful, but a little bit uncertain at this point.
Coach, I absolutely love your team. I mean, you guys got a young team. I don't know if people out there know, but you have no seniors on scholarship. You have one junior on scholarship, and your leading scorer, Timmy Allen, at 20 points a game is a sophomore. Boots, a sophomore at 11 points a game. Your freshman's at 11 points a game, and Riley is at 10 points a game. I mean, you're a young team, a great, exciting young team. How's it been coaching a bunch of young guys this first year?
You know what? It's we're on the bus right now heading to the hotel, and I just love this group. More so probably than any group I've ever been with, to be honest with you.
Wow,
it's just I think we've got 10 guys on the squad, last count, with all A's or B's, so they get the academic piece. We never, as a coaching staff, are starting a meeting and looking around trying to figure out where so-and-so is, and they work their butts off, and it's kind of what we all signed up for, and they're just high-character kids, and they're young. As somebody told me the other day, there's only one team in America that's younger. I didn't realize that, out of every Division I team. So, I think with putting a lot of effort and emphasis in teaching, and the guys are absorbing it. We're still making mistakes, but for the most part, they're not making the same mistakes. And I think it bodes well for the future when you think about, having a nice nucleus returning consistently for a few years here. So, I think the future is bright as well as the present.
Yeah, that's great. And, Coach, one of the things, I don't know how happy your fans are about your schedule, because you only have 5 conference games, I guess non-conference games at home. It's the lowest you've had since 1969. But I commend you on these neutral site games, so you can play a team like Kentucky. You can play a team like San Diego State, both being ranked teams. I mean, scheduling is becoming an issue, isn't it, with these home and homes? It's
really hard. It's rare, and especially when you're on the West Coast. And the lion's share of teams are in the eastern 2/3 of the country. So to crank up a home and home with somebody and have them jump on a plane and maybe, 4 hours, 6 hours, whatever the trip is, doesn't make a whole lot of sense when there's a lot more candidates, within a stone's throw from them. So, it's complicated a little bit for us. But I do like the neutral site games. We played in a tournament in Myrtle Beach. We didn't play particularly well, but it's great for our team and bonding to get away. And this trip is great. We flew in here just now, and we'll spend a few days together and bus to L.A. to play San Diego State. And you have a little, we've got a great family feeling. And when you're around the holidays, I think everybody knows that they get to spend time with their families.
No question. Talking about families, Coach, one of those young guys on your team is your son. And we were talking to Fran McCaffrey about coaching his boys. How's it been coaching your son, and how's your marriage? Is it all right?
Well, I think one of the analogies that made a lot of sense to me when it comes to coaching your kids is, it becomes kind of a no-brainer when your kid is really good or really bad, because either everybody knows he needs to be on the court or everybody knows he should be on the bench. And our son Luke right now that's with us is as a young man that didn't really get caught up in the recruiting circles. He had a bunch of knee tendonitis, so we've got him in great care with our training staff, and it's just good to see him on a daily basis. That's probably the most powerful part about it.
We got the Neon Hoops Showcase benefiting Coaches versus Cancer going down tomorrow night, 8 o'clock start at T-Mobile right here in Las Vegas. It's Kentucky against Utah, and we're talking to the Utes coach, Larry Krystkowiak. I was going to say the other part of playing at T-Mobile, it's a bonus for you guys to come down here for neutral site games. You're going to have to be here playing in March anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, when it was first proposed to us by Kentucky to play, they wanted the return game. They're never going to play a home-and-home with anybody other than Kansas and Duke. So we got our butts whipped last year at Lexington, and they wanted to play at Madison Square Garden, and we got them to play here at T-Mobile, which obviously makes a little more sense for us. So, yeah, we've got to get some reps under our belt in this building and get ready for our tournament. I think that's all helpful.
Well, Kentucky's good, like really good. So there's going to be some intensity, but we got to go back a couple of weeks. I don't know if most people down here got wind of just how intense and crazy your game against BYU was. I mean, that in the end, you wound up losing the game. But geez, talk about prepping in a rivalry spot for what's going to happen the rest of the season. That game was nuts.
Yeah, we got down early in that ball game, 16 points, and stayed in the fight. We actually ended up winning in overtime, but it was a heck of an evening for us in a big in-state game, obviously. And the BYU team's good, man. They got 5 seniors on their squad that have played a lot of college basketball, a really good shooting team, and then it was Yoli Child's first game back for the Cougars, and he's one of the better big men in the country. So we had our hands full, but just super proud of our guys. It was quite an environment, and we battled, and I don't believe we were ever ahead until overtime. So, we got lucky, a little bit lucky with fouling out one of their players, and Big Yoli got cramps. But, it's better to be, what do they say, better to be lucky than good. So that was a good win for our program.
What do you expect from Kentucky?
Well, it's a lot of, it's a lot of athletes. They get up and down. You can't turn the ball over, and you got to block out. They really feast on some of the easy ones in transition. I've never seen teams score quite as fast. I'm trying to do clips of it, and a lot of times it's 27 seconds on the shot clock when they're scoring. So you got to get shots. You can't turn it over because they'll kill you. Last year we played at Lexington, and they had 38 points in transition and off of our 18 turnovers. So, they're hard enough to defend without that being brought into the mix. So you got to be solid on both sides of the ball, and they're big and athletic as is usual, but they do have a young team. So we're ready to rock. I think Kentucky's played 8 straight home games, so they haven't, short of their first game of the year where they got a win, I believe, out in New York. But it's going to be a heck of a test for us heading before league play starts. We got two really good teams that we're about to play, and then we'll have a little break before Pac-12 play starts.
Coach, we appreciate it. We're glad you're part of another Coaches versus Cancer outing in this game against Kentucky, and thanks for the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really, really happy to be a part of the whole event, and great to be in Vegas, and I appreciate you guys reaching out. So
Coach,
happy
thanks.
holidays to everybody.
Thanks, Coach. Say hi to your wife.
Will do.
All
Thanks,
right,
Joe.
buddy.
See you, man.